Okay, so I'm sure a few more will keep filtering through as we go, but welcome everyone who's tuning in with our first ex-military careers live Q&A with myself. So thank you everyone for joining. So these sessions, what we want is to basically achieve a live networking and provide opportunities for everyone to get to know me personally, as well as ex-military careers as a whole, how we can support our ex-military community. Whether you're currently serving, whether you're looking at leaving in the long-term future, short-term future, whether you've left, whether you are considering a role change, you're a client or business representative who wants to bring more people into your business who are of a military background. This is here for everyone who wants to support and be part of this ex-military careers community, and just maybe even just a bit of direction or even a chat. So please feel free to be as interactive and ask as many questions as you want. We've got the Zoom chats, we've got the LinkedIn live chats. We've also got a slider as well. If you follow the QR code and or you put in EMC live, you'll be able to ask any questions anonymously as well. So please feel free to ask any questions as long as they are relatively appropriate too. But a bit of an intro to myself. So hopefully while a few of you are drumming up some questions, a bit about me and why I'm here speaking today. So I'm Ellis Greenway, I'm an ex-Royal Marine, and I'm the Global Community Manager at Ex-Military Careers. Effectively what we do for our global community is we create opportunities with companies who are employers of choice for veterans. And what we want to do is empower people. The questions are coming in with the tools as well to go and chase these opportunities too. Brilliant. So advice for starting your transition. I think with something, and before I go into a lot of these, we go into a lot of topics such as this in our Ex-Military Careers podcast. So please feel free to go back and revisit a few of them. Had some amazing guests who've joined me to discuss a lot of these topics. And if some of them come up, I'll mention them as we go. But advice for starting your transition. So a really common question and theme that we bring up when I speak to people who want to offer some form of advice, and I think the best advice to give is that you should be thinking about this day from the moment you join. I think being very open and honest, not many of us were thinking about leaving when we're first joining. It's the start of a whole new career, and for whatever reason, whether it's naivety, you're not really considering those next steps, especially when you're younger and you feel pretty invincible. But a great point, you can never start early enough. So I would just be thinking, if you're in that position where you're thinking about leaving the military, what is the reason you're leaving? So are you wanting, a more stable family life? Is it financial reasons? Is it that, you've got something out there that is already, it might be a niche that you want to scratch. So find out what that why is, and then build and reverse engineer around it. So, find that end goal and reverse a path. And that's a really good way to start. So just, figure out the end goal effectively. And then there's loads of things that add up to that. But I want to get through some of these questions off relatively quick. So figure out what the end goal is, reverse engineer a path would be my golden tip for the start of your transition. So we've got one from Jay. So I'm due to leave military in the next 6 months. What's your top tips for networking and who to network with? That is a fantastic question. What I would say and emphasize actually is the importance of networking. There are some absolutely fantastic groups out there. LinkedIn, even as a platform itself, is phenomenal for networking. And the networking aspect will get you so far from those actual relationships themselves with people, but the knowledge you can get from different markets that you weren't aware of, opportunities, all these different sectors, and then just utilizing those networks and those relationships themselves, and almost like treating them like a spider's web, and you're in the middle. So let people keep leading you, be a sponge, have that beginner's mindset. And just speak to as many people as possible. So if you're not aware of the kind of role or the sector or the market you want to get into, I would advise identifying veterans in multiple different sectors and get a genuine feel for what the role is like. What's the day-to-day activity? What's the career progression like? So start to understand that aspect, and if it's something that you can consider, and then I would start to identify what all these different roles, market sectors could be, and then compile them and do your pros and cons and figure out which ones really sit with you. And then the best thing about this community is how willing everyone is to help. It always blows my mind. So get on to these people and ask for a bit of their time. Just, have you got half an hour to meet with me via Teams, whatever your preference is, virtually, have a coffee, grab a wet with someone, and just ask those questions. Usually people are more than happy to help. So I would just say be confident and get yourself out there with that beginner's mindset. So who to network with then, a little bit more specifically. I've got an endless list of amazing people in the space. I'll shout out some people who've been on the Ex-Military Careers podcast. So we've got the Gendit network, one of the most engaged networks, especially over here in the UK, run by two good friends of mine, both called Chris. They would love to have anyone as part of that network. We did a Gendit network event in London recently. Absolutely fantastic opportunity for everyone. So get onto the Gendit network. Obviously follow Ex-Military Careers as well. There's two of us who are full-time here as leading our community. That's myself and Jason Heap. So find Jason as well, click follow with us, and we'll be able to give you some more specific routes to go down. So yeah, basically reach out to those people as a good start. Filter through the the previous post there, because you'll find tons of people who are willing to help. Hit the connect button, send them a message, and just put yourself out there and adopt that beginner's mindset. Cool. So why did you leave the military, and are there similar issues in your current role? The military world and the corporate world, obviously worlds apart. My personal reasons for leaving the military were quite a heavy mix, actually. Not to go too deep into any of them or make this more specifically about me, I just found that at the age I was at, I was probably starting to get to that point where I was considering essentially being in for a very long time, or I felt like if I was something that actually in hindsight looking back isn't really very true, but I felt like if I was going to go and give something a good go, I was at a good age to still give that a crack, and probably for not really backing myself and not felt that I could go back to the Marines, still back to the military, if that was something that was if it didn't work out for me. So I think it was when I looked towards the full career, like my time in the military was the best thing I ever did. So happy I did it. It's what I wanted to do when I was young. So I would never knock it, and I would absolutely, I would always advise people, if that's something, a scratch that you want to itch, go and do it, because it will give you an invaluable set of skills and who you can be that you will not get anywhere else. A lot of what we do is trying to convert that into civilian speak, to let people know what these skills are, but just the idea of self-confidence that you can get from it. For me personally, it did well and truly make me into the person who I am now. And I think I can contribute a lot of my corporate world success to the skills and the mindset that I developed in the military. But ultimately, I was looking at a career, and the career wasn't as appealing to me, even though I loved the day-to-day job. For me, the people I was around in the military, that's something that, I'll probably one of my favorite memories, and the best thing to hold on to is my military family and network. But it was the career. So then when I transfer that over to, is that something that I have an issue with now in my current role? No, and I do find it very different now. It's very easy to, you're more open. I don't think you're as boxed into, being part of a specialization while you're in the military. You can go out there and you can do anything. You can change your role to be more in line with whatever you want to achieve at the end, and that end goal is always changing, and you can adjust in Civvy Street accordingly. So I think you do have the freedom to have a bit more say over your own life. So I don't think I have there's similar issues. Definitely different issues that you will find in the civilian world, the corporate world, but that one for me wasn't a similarity. Okay, so our next question then. Do you have any tips for staying positive in transitioning out of the military? That is another great question. I think this will probably all come down to a matter of perspective, and also accepting that you're leaving. Rightly so, we should be proud of what we've done, and usually, the majority of people very much are. But I think it's important to not hold on to that to the point where it holds you back and you stay in the past. So, accept that you're leaving, embrace the reasons why you're leaving, and look forward to, your new life outside of the military as well. And just fully embrace it. There's a point of letting go. And, for me personally, as a little anecdote, I had my military picture on as my LinkedIn profile picture for ages. I think there's an element of, you'd like to almost cling on to it. It's a part of the past. And there's certainly an element of pride in it, but understanding that it's a whole new life ahead of you, and there's so many benefits to it, and you can go out there and achieve what it is that you're leaving for. So I just embrace them, accept them, and look forward to all the good things, and all the benefits that you had of the military. You can start to replicate them in other areas, still as a civilian. But I would embrace it, accept it, look forward to all the positives, focus on them. A really good saying that a lot of us have discussed on some previous is control the controllables. So everything that you are in charge of, well and truly take control of them. Things, if you can't change it, then accept it and move with it. So a question we got from LinkedIn: what if you're leaving with PTSD? Will employees still be interested in employing you? That is a fantastic question, one that's probably a lot longer to get into, I think. Obviously everyone's circumstances are different, so it's a tricky thing to paint with the same brush. It is a very hot topic, and one thing that we often find ourselves in this kind of almost a middleman between the military and the civilian world, and it is an area that's brought up as an area of concern. Some of these misconceptions and the questions that people might get about military members. This is one, are they going to be angry all the time? They're going to shout at people in my office. If they're struggling with some mental health issues, what are the likely repercussions? Or do I need to micromanage them because anyone in the military is lived a very strict lifestyle? These are misconceptions that we're challenging, and I think all the success stories of people coming through and finding their success within businesses are challenging these. But it's another thing that we have to accept as military service leavers, that people a lot of the time don't have exposure to the military. They might not have had any family members, they might not have had an interest with it, but they might be the people who are hiring managers now. So there are going to be questions. What I would say is just an open and honest approach about it. If you are looking at somewhere and you're a bit hesitant about whether they understand you and your background and whether they value what you're bringing to the table, then maybe it's not the right place for you. But if you're, there's so many organizations out there with absolutely fantastic veteran programs and veteran internal groups, where you'll have, a community of people around you who will, be going through the same struggles. So what I would say to summarize that is, yes, absolutely, employees are still going to be interested in hiring you. But I would say have honest conversations about that. Don't shy away from who you are because you're worried about, what it is. And especially with any mental health issue, I'm always a massive advocate, as most people are, for discussing it. So be open about it, but search for companies that might potentially, that are veterans in there, and speak to them, and they've got internal groups. Okay, what else have we got here? Flicking these around. That's a nice little comment. Thank you very much. Absolutely welcome. Yeah, this is something that forum like this, we want to keep going recurrently. So people, if you're getting value out of that, let us know if there's something that you want to see as part of these Q&As, a particular topic. We can absolutely arrange that. And yeah, no, we'll keep this going as long as people are getting value out of it. But thank you for the kind messages. Anything in the East Midlands left the RAF 6 years ago as logistics? Okay, so specifically, I would look through our website. We've got the Ex-Military Careers website with loads of jobs listed on there. I think we're in the thousands for jobs that we've got. Have a crack through some of them, see what you find. And specifically with the RAF, Jason, My colleague, he's ex-RF as well. He was in intelligence, not logistics, but logistics. Every business has got logistics. There are, it's something that every business is going to have, and a great transferable skill if you've got awareness to how to run them efficiently. There will absolutely be options. So if you want to reach out to me or Jason personally, hit us up on LinkedIn, send a connect over and drop us a message, and we'll point you in the right direction and give you a bit more specific advice on that one. Any suggestions for veteran groups in IT? Yes, there are some brilliant. If that might be a specific area of IT, if it is, put another comment in there, and we can. I can pass you over to some really good people. Loads and loads of IT and kind of tech-enabled companies now. It's obviously the global state of any business. It has to be tech-enabled. So IT is going to be part of any modern day business. So yeah, just drop us a little bit more information about areas of IT within that. We've got some great companies out there, Tech Vets, Redeployable. Yeah, go and have a look at those two, but let me know if there's something a little bit more area specific too. Okay, Chris, pleasure to have you in. So this is a question from Chris Reeves. He's done a podcast with me, might also be known as the performance and wellbeing coach. Absolutely fantastic person. Get on to him. You might know him from Win the Morning, Win the Day. If anyone out there is wired as such to go and find some really cold water early in the morning, he's your guy. But absolutely amazing advice. I rely on Chris a lot. So Chris, thanks for jumping in. Did you find the resettlement period useful? If not, do you use anyone personally as a coach mentor for your transition? I mean, me and Chris have had conversations about this, how great it is to have coaches and mentors. All the best individual performers, team performers in the world have always got coaches. They've always got mentors. Absolutely fantastic use of time. Chris is someone I rely on a lot. So I would employ anyone, if you're thinking about you just need a bit more guidance, anywhere in your performance and your overall well-being, Chris is absolutely someone I would direct anyone to. But the resettlement period then itself, yeah, so for me, I didn't get much value personally out of what was being provided for me in the official lines through the military. To avoid bringing any other names into this, what I made from it, what I created from it was what I did personally. I got on LinkedIn so early. I was, connecting with people. I was networking. I would probably hold my hands up and say I didn't make the most of my time. But I would also caveat this with an element that as ex-military people, a lot of us are very gung-ho, get an idea in your head, absolutely chase it, all guns blazing, but your resettlement period is also a time for you to just take your foot off the gas a little bit. You're going to be approaching a whole new world with a lot of different elements to navigate and issues to start to understand and get your head around. And if you go full throttle for 12 months doing your day job in the military, serving your whole notice, and then every evening putting that into your transition, you're going to burn out before you've even hit the ground running. So I would take that typical step of reverse engineering your path for what you want to achieve, and then strategize it, like we do with anything in the military. It's not just I mean, I get that there's the element of no plan survives its first contact, but at least have a plan. It's always a really good place to start. Brilliant. So if anyone's wondering the use of military, we've got one here. If there are any UK-based ex-military that want to work on solar farms across the UK, send me a message. 25 to 75 ex-military. There you go. I mean, it says it all. Tech-enabled businesses with solar work, renewables obviously going to be a big area coming up in the future, and people who recognise the absolute top value of service leavers there. So if that's gone through on the Slido, where they are anonymous, reach out to me, whoever put that message in there, and we can definitely support you with getting some more military in as well, and we'll put you into touch with some good networks too. Okay. Just reading through a couple of these questions, so bear with me 2 seconds and I will get back to you. Okay, so we've got one here. Anyone here LinkedIn with electrical veterans group? I've just come out of the army. I'm struggling to find a foothold in the electrical world. Okay, so one that will absolutely be able to point you in the right direction with some in the electrical world as well. Maybe if you could be a little bit more specific, you know, is that a tradie as a sparky, an electrician, or, you know, that could mean a few things. So I don't want to start going down that route in case I might be not saying anything absolutely helpful at all. So if you want to clarify, but also connect with me on LinkedIn, Sparky, awesome. Okay, yeah, loads of trade groups. If you make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn and we'll have a personal chat about this. Got some great contacts in the space. We'll definitely be able to advise you whether that comes down to work experience, some qualifications, good people to have a chat with in your area. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, hit me a connect request and send me a message, and I will do everything I can to set you up with some networking. And we'll get on that, not a problem. How do you get your adrenaline dose after leaving the military? That is a fantastic question, and I keep saying that these are all really good questions, so keep them coming. But this is a really interesting one, and one that I was very aware of. Having leaving, you know, it's very different. My commute now, living in London, I'm on the tube. It's different to being in a helicopter and fast roping. I think it comes down to an element of accepting what's coming down. You're not going to get those same adrenaline rushes. You're not going to be firing rifles. You're not going to be getting rounds down range. But it is really important to find ways to fulfill yourself, you know, and that might be through different means. If it's purely an adrenaline thing, for me personally, I like winter sports. I like water sports, and just generally being outdoors. I think that's a big element for me. And keeping up with my own health and fitness. You know, there are different areas of putting stress on the body. You know, it's not necessarily because you're in immediate danger, but you can give yourself that extra stimulus by finding things to do that they don't have to be dangerous, but put yourself in arduous situations. So, you know, whether that's going out there and, you know, if you want to put a pack on and take a poncho and get out in the wild a little bit, I think, you know, things like that are absolutely great for keeping that element of testing yourself. So yeah, and any sporting groups I think is a really good one too. You know, personally with a rugby background, I think there's a lot that comes with being part of a team that's directly related to, you know, military teamwork, sporting teamwork, and then you know, whether that's part of an MMA club or some form of combat sport, you've obviously got something a little bit more aggressive there as well. But yeah, no, find yourself to get part of groups and just put yourself in some sort of challenging situation. Don't do anything dangerous just to try and get a kick. But that's what I would recommend for that. Tips for improving CV. Yeah, so important. And I guess that's, you know, personally. So that's come through as anonymous again. If you want to reach out, more than happy to have a look through. We've got some great people in the space who are CV experts, LinkedIn experts. These are things that you absolutely want to be getting right. You know, that's your chance to sell yourself, your LinkedIn profile. And if your CV's good, hiring managers are going to go straight from your CV, look you up on LinkedIn and see what kind of involvement you have on there. So if you've got a strong profile, I would do your CV and your LinkedIn hand in hand. They're absolutely so important. But my first and initial tip would be to, if you've got military lingo, military language in that, find ways to convert it into you know, relatable situations, relatable experiences, relatable titles. So, you know, if you're a section commander / team leader, you know, why not put down there that you were a team manager, or, you know, you've done people management, you've done project management. I think a lot of us in the military world were just probably going through our day job and then not realizing, you know, all the actual civilian label things you're doing. If you're a manager of people, are you managing their reports? Okay, well, that's great information to get put there. It shows that you can help people on their performance development, how to review what they're doing, fundamental skills in any business. So yeah, convert that language and convert your experiences. But if anyone on here is wondering about CVs, again, connect with me, send me a message. Even if you just send me a message saying CV, I'll send you a links over to a few people in the network who are absolute CV gurus, who've got great offerings to go and work with them. So yeah, drop me a message just saying CV on my personal LinkedIn, send me a connect request, and I'll help you out with that. Okay. So Jonathan on LinkedIn, adrenaline, presenting to a board of a FTSE 100 company. Yeah, pure brown. I can appreciate that. One thing I did actually want to cover while I was on here is, one of the things that I personally heard a lot leaving the military was, I could never work in an office, and that's usually due to a misconception. So try to avoid having those going in. For my personal daily routine, I will try and commute and cycling. We've got gyms everywhere. Find a company where you can still be active. There's plenty of great companies, like where I work now. We've got the freedom to have flexible lunches for gym and physical activities. So yeah, you can absolutely still be active. Just being because your work is based in an office, it doesn't mean you have to be inactive. Even if it comes down to having a standing desk, see people with little treadmills under their desks, sitting on Swiss balls. You can find ways around it. So yeah, just that idea of the corporate world. Don't go in with those kind of misconceptions. Ryan on LinkedIn. Any veteran entrepreneur mentor resources? I'm looking to find some successful entrepreneurs for, I can't see the bottom of that one. We'll get back to that. Here we go, for confidential mentorship. Ryan, yes, there are absolutely places you can go for this. Drop me, again, connect. Ryan, we'll have a chat. There's a really good few for starting places, and would also I'll be able to offer some advice for that one as well. So yeah, connect. Just send me a quick message on LinkedIn, and I'll point you in the right direction for that one. Okay, just sifting through questions here. What do veterans bring to businesses? I don't think we've got time for me to go through everything that I believe a veteran brings to a business. Obviously, I'm relatively biased with that as well. But I would just say you've got a set of individuals who have gone on a very steep learning curve, a learning curve that stays steep throughout the rest of your career. And career development is something that's constantly happening in the military. I'd say probably more so in my experience than necessarily in the civilian world as well. So you've got people who are coachable, they're adaptable, if they're just hard workers, disciplined. There is not usually an element in the military world of, if a job's not done, you're just going to knock off and head home. Like you're done when the job's done. So I think there's absolutely, aside from the hard skills, the technical skills that no doubt people will have accrued, depending on where you've served in the military as well, something more specific and more transferable. But I think what I always like to highlight is the soft skills, the values, the traits that you often find working with military people in success stories. Just such hard workers who are loyal and trusting. The idea of someone you can trust and someone to work hard, I think that can outweigh a lot of the time someone with X amount. Someone might have one more year's worth of technical experience, but personally, who would I rather work with? Is it someone that I can trust to work hard, and someone who I know is motivated and they're loyal and they have a great soft set of skills? That's the way I would lean to as well. So yeah, veterans just we're not all perfect as well, same as any walk of life. I'm sure, you know, if any veterans who are watching this, they might have someone who they remember from their military career they weren't very fond of. You know, no one's a perfect group of people in any demographic. But no, I would just say to sum it up, there's so many great things that veterans can bring to a business, and as an area that's you know, an area that's probably underrepresented in the general world in the corporate world, for example, in the business world. Improving your kind of diversity and your innovation, you're going to get new ideas that and a different mindset of things, a different perspective, which is always good. You know, if you've got a room of 10 people who always think the same thing, you might be missing something. Bring someone with a fresh perspective. That's how you get your innovation and new ideas. So always a good way to grow. Tips for improving my LinkedIn profile. Get a good headshot. That's always a good start. Don't do what I did maybe and leave your military one on there for too long before accepting it. Get rid of that. One of the don't skimp out, basically. It's put the time and invest in this just as much as you would your CV. You know, LinkedIn is a great place for networking. If you're reaching out to a ton of people and you know in yourself that you've got a lot of value to add, and when you're having these conversations, but your profile doesn't reflect any of that, you know, it's just like having some random bot or fake account add you on any other social media. Put the time into and invest in your LinkedIn profile. Your past experience, you know, find your titles and put a little bit about each role. You know, summarize some of your achievements, get statistics in there, and get testimonials of ex-colleagues. You know, that's a really good place where you can have you know, people firsthand writing you up, and you know, talking about your skills. It's when we do anything in life, you know, it's really easy to probably, you know, everyone likes to sell themselves and talk about themselves, and when you hear someone else, you know, really, you know, passionately saying, I would recommend working with this guy, he's a hard worker, you know, these girls are amazing, whatever it is, just find, you know, your ex-colleagues, hiring managers, ex-bosses, troop commanders, whatever kind of place you're in now, and get those testimonials, those recommendations on your LinkedIn profile as well. And just do this, you know, get into good practice now of doing it in civilian language, not military language. So yeah, start with that with your LinkedIn, and then get active. Post, find the community areas that you're interested in. Get in groups, get in forums, start networking, start posting, be active. It's no good having being on a networking platform if you're not willing to network. Awesome. Okay, what else we got come through? If you had the opportunity to do your resettlement over again, what would you ensure you did differently? I would have invested, knowing what I know now and being on LinkedIn, I would invest so much time into my LinkedIn profile, and just being present on LinkedIn. I think that, you know, you always hear that old saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know. Just getting on here and reaching out to people, you're going to learn so much from people who've walked that path. They're leaders in the space. I have the pleasure of speaking with so many successful service leavers who've all got a different story. Maybe some of them are watching this, so thank you to them if they are watching this. But yeah, I would really invest a lot of time into my LinkedIn profile, because that's something that no one can take from you. You know, your LinkedIn profile is a summary of your personal brand. You know, that's something that probably not a lot of people have thought about if you're not in the stages of leaving yet, but your personal brand, you know, is what really, that's something that no one can take from you. No matter where you go, what changes you make in your professional career, your LinkedIn profile can stay consistent, and you can keep that to what you want it to be. So definitely invest in that. I think I was, if I was to speak candidly and very honestly, I was probably a little bit lazy in understanding LCASs and learning credits and what to really do with them. I almost probably felt a little bit like they were too hard to understand, and I probably just rapped on it a little bit. Looking back, I should have made the most of anything that was free. You know, you've effectively got free money out there to go and sink into your own personal development. So I would 100% have done that. So if you are kind of teetering on the line of that, of what to do with your LCASs, just bite the bullet, get stuck into it. I wish I'd have done it with mine. And then LinkedIn, you know, smash your LinkedIn, And then just find a really good support circle of people who are specialized in like SMEs, whether that's a personal coach, like I said, with Chris, whether that's, CV writing experts, anything like that. Find a few people who you can really rely on, and, doing a bit of networking on LinkedIn, you'll find those people pretty quickly. What are your thoughts on, if you can afford to, on joining a big organization, start low and then apply for promotion early? That's a really interesting one, actually. And I would be very interested to hear your thoughts on why necessarily a big organization could be better than a medium or a smaller organization. Is that an attraction to, a name that's big in the game, and does that provide some more security potentially? But it's a really good question about the financial side. Me personally, I just assumed from the off that I would have to take a financial cut to be able to just get my foot in the door. I've got someone who I would definitely and absolutely consider a friend now, Olivia Cream. She's been part of our podcast in the past, and she offers great advice on the financial side of this. She's very well placed to talk about it. But she, very much goes into, you don't have to necessarily look at taking a pay cut. Find your value and the value that you can bring, and stick to it. And I think as military leavers, we sometimes find it a little bit awkward to talk about salaries and the financial side of things, because from day dot you join, you know what you're going to get paid, you know what the next level is, you know what your all your little bonuses and your add-ons add up to, and there's no sway from it. So when you start to negotiate, I think it's somewhere we've never had training in. We don't understand, but it is an area to train in salary negotiations, the financial side of things. So yeah, would absolutely recommend just learning a bit more about what you can do to support yourself financially in your own financial awareness. That would be my my tip on that. But if it's a company that you really want to be part of, and there's a specific reason why you think you'd be amazing there, then yeah, sure, why not get yourself in that business. But aside from that, if there's no specific reason why there's really strong pull into that one, I wouldn't block yourself off from others, and I wouldn't necessarily put it onto size of why, it's a size of a company and the amount of necessarily revenue or employees it has necessarily means it's better or not. I would find other things that are going to affect your day-to-day role more of an influence on that. Okay. So Sam on LinkedIn, help for, been trying to obtain HGV now for ages. Sam, unless anyone else in here who's watching is on the LinkedIn, we might be able to advise on that specifically. Sam dropped me a connect on my LinkedIn, and send me a quick message just in regards to HGV elements. I'm assuming that you've not got your C&E license. I mean, I've got mine. A lot of us do end up getting our C+C licenses through to different civilian support. I guess in case you need to provide that kind of role, but would absolutely yeah, point you in the right direction with some of that, and see where I can help out. How can I look after my mental health when transitioning? Huge topic, mental health, one that's very close to my heart and very close to a lot of people's hearts. This really comes down to, it's a very personal thing. Understanding what your mental health means to you, and understanding what works for you, what's beneficial to you, and being just as aware of what your coping mechanisms are, and if they're genuinely coping mechanisms that are supporting you, or are they something that's actually a little bit self-destructive, and in the the holes that you can get in, just being aware of if it is actually something that's destructive. But I would find the things that you enjoy, and set daily habits around doing that. Personally, I think there's elements to being active, and what you put in your body in terms of eating good, and getting outside, and being doing physical activity, and keeping up your social interactions as well. I think that it's a dangerous place when you get into areas of seclusion. So the best thing you can do is just be very open and honest, not only with yourself, but find your support network. If there's, if you're one of those people who doesn't have a lot of people personally around you, feel free to reach out to me. I've got people who would absolutely always be willing to help and listen. So yeah, look at, just in terms of looking after it, identify your support network, keep them close, keep having conversations around it. It's something that, same with your physical health. Why should you only start to address your physical health when you're feeling bad? No, even if you're in great physical health, keep pushing your physical health. That's what athletes do. The exact same with your mental health. Don't wait for your mental health to be bad. Even when it's in a good place, keep pushing it to be even better. Yeah, that would be my tips for that. But if you want to have a bit more of an in-depth chat about that, again, just send me a connect request. We'll connect. We'll have a bit of a chat. Nice message. Thanks for hosting this session. Really insightful. Looking forward to the next one. Absolutely not a problem. Yeah, no, really glad that people are enjoying this. And yeah, if that's the case, then we'll keep doing them, and they will keep happening. Yeah. Are these sessions going to be regular occurrence, and will there be specific industry focuses for us to get advice on? Yep. So again, this is the first time we've done this. It's our first live Q&A. It's the first time I've done this. Hopefully it hasn't been too painful for any of you to watch and be part of. But yes, these will absolutely be regular. We've got a feedback form in following up after this. So if there's a specific industry you want to get awareness to, yes, please let us know. We also do our Ex-Military Careers podcasts, where we bring people from all different sectors to talk specifically about them. And I'm fortunate enough to have some people in my network now who are doing amazing things across probably every sector out there. So if there's one that's really got your interest, let me know. We'll arrange something, or I can at least, if it's not going to be a session specifically for this, I'll be able to point you in some SMEs in their areas. But another long-winded answer, but yes, these are going to be regular, hopefully, and we can absolutely have more focus sessions on each one of them, and they'll be included in the title on what we're going to discuss on that session. But again, we want these to be really interactive. I want everyone to keep feeling like they can come in with their questions. So nothing probably too specific for a live Q&A, but absolutely we will provide value wherever we can in terms of specific areas. Great. So where do I start when it comes to building my personal brand? That is another top great question. I am by no means an expert on building personal brands. It's something that we've got a great team here at Ex-Military Careers and a support team with, and in marketing we've got some amazing people who I run to daily on advice and support and building my brand. So I would probably do something quite similar. Reach out to people, what looks good and what you should be achieving. But you can get yourself on free courses. There are free courses out there. So we've got the world at our fingertips. What can I do? Quick Google search. What can I do to improve my LinkedIn? Your personal brand comes from what you're representing, what's been shared, and what you're putting out there in the world. So think about where you're sharing that. It might be something where your personal brand is more of a personal connection. You might not be doing as much virtually. So think about what you're having in your day-to-day interactions with people, because everyone who you have met in your life has probably got a very different view of who you are and what you do. So maybe if, you want to be more direct with that. Especially in the business professional world, nail down exactly what it is on who you want to be and what you want to be known and remembered for, and then start making that something that's part of the things that you discuss and the value that you add. But if it is going to be very virtual based and on social media, which a lot of it is now, and it's an amazing tool for building your personal brand. If you've got multiple platforms, I would start to synergize it and bring it all together so they're replicating each other and it's all carrying the same message. But if it's for the professional world, again, LinkedIn is probably the best platform out there to start with. So get yourself on some of the free LinkedIn classes that we have there, that are on. You can find anything on YouTube, and you can find anything through networks. So find someone else who's you think they've got a great personal brand. Probably not going to be me. If it is me, would love to help and tell you a bit more personally about what I do and what I've done and what I like to do and what I'm aiming to do to improve mine over 2023. but yeah, there will be my my tips for that. So reach out to people, work on your LinkedIn, and just synergize everything, bring it together. Great. Okay. I'll have a quick look through and just to see if we have missed any. Thanks, Ellis. Great job. Very kind. Very kind. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, we've got another one through. What am I looking forward to in 2023? We've got some really exciting things. This is going to be more of a professional swerve than rather than me personally. But professionally at Ex-MilitaryCareers, Careers, we've got a really exciting few announcements coming up over the next few weeks. So if you're not following on from Ex-MilitaryCareers Careers yet, follow Ex-MilitaryCareers Careers. Yeah, we've got some really exciting partnerships and announcements coming. Not going to go into those now specifically. I'll leave them on a bit of a cliffhanger. Really exciting there, and we've got some great organizations and businesses coming on. And they're going to be coming out as well. So what do I want to do, and what do I personally want to achieve as part of my role is just supporting the ex-military community and keep getting these opportunities out there for people and providing value wherever we can. It's always good to get out there and meet people and have that element of that you've provided some sort of value. So for me personally, that's something that I really enjoy about this job. It's coming back to the reason we're doing this is, I would say, find what that pull is for you, find what that where you think you're going to find that purpose, and work towards it, reverse engineer that path. My transition was relatively smooth as far as they go. I had some great mentors around me, some great advice from the way through previous companies and previous roles, which have ultimately led me kind of to where I am now. And nothing ever goes perfectly, but yeah, no, it would just be to keep working on this path and doing where I found myself, and to keep everything that we're doing Ex-Military Careers going and keep elevating it, which I'm really looking forward to. We've got some great things coming up this year, which will be announced, so yeah, stay tuned for them. Do you have any tips for supporting veterans in your workplace? What can we do as leaders to retain vets? Yeah, I get this question. I've actually had an old connection of mine reach out to me recently regarding this as well. Just in the past couple of days, it's a really common question. So if you don't have anyone in your business who is a veteran, because that's the first step I would go to, find veterans in your business and talk with them, understand, what were their struggles, what would have helped them. If there's statistics out there that show that veterans are, tend to do a bit of job hopping for their first few years when they're out. Speak to veterans in your business and what made them job hop. You've got someone there who's a source of knowledge for you to pull from for exactly why they did what you're trying to stop them doing. So I would reach out to them and find out what it was that was missing from there. But I think absolutely set up an internal veterans group. One, it helps people, it helps service leaders to show that you understand veterans. You've got their interests at best of heart. But there's some easy things that you can employ into like a veterans contract. Like there's obviously November ceremonies and Remembrance Day and Armistice Day, really important days in the veteran community. Allow veterans to have that time off to go and pay their respects and do what they some of the most important days of the year for us. Allow them to have that time. That's a great first tip. And if anyone was following us on LinkedIn and me personally, we took the time to go down, and some of my veteran colleagues within the business, we were allowed to have that time to pay our respects and get together and do what we wanted to do on that day. And that meant a lot. That it means a lot more than just having a day off. There's a bigger meaning to that. So understand the story of your personal veterans in your business. And that's what I would recommend. Speak to veterans within your business. If you haven't got veterans in your business yet and you want to improve it, that's exactly what we're here at Ex-Military Careers for. So if anyone out there is hiring managers, send me a message. Let's have a chat about it. and we'll see what we can do to support you there. But brilliant. Okay, so conscious that I've been on for nearly an hour now. That's absolutely flown by. And yeah, no, thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in there. If I have asked you to connect with me and send me a message, please do so. Anyone else who's watching who necessarily didn't want to ask a question but might have some, feel free to reach out to me absolutely whenever. Let's have some chats about this. Hopefully we can provide support to everyone who has asked questions there. So yeah, if I have asked you to send me a message, please do so. We'll chat at some point this week. Fairly busy week booked in, but I will absolutely find some time to get back to you and have some discussions. So yeah, we'll get around to them. But massive thank you to everyone who's joined. Massive thank you to everyone who has asked questions. And it looks like we're going to be doing the next one if people have enjoyed this. So look forward to seeing everyone in the next one. There will be the feedback form. So get around that survey. Let us know what you want to hear from next. But aside from that, follow the business, follow me, follow Jason, stay in touch with us. And yes, let's stay connected, and we'll absolutely see you soon. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll absolutely see you next time.